Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It's Tuesday, August the 19th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local share market is set to open lower with ASX futures down around 0.3%. Global equity markets ended mostly flat overnight, with investors focused on the outcome of a meeting between President Trump and Ukraine's President Zelensky and European leaders. While on Wall Street, the major indices were mixed as investors looked ahead to the Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole symposium at the end of the week. There was also anticipation of a raft of corporate earnings reports from major retailers for more signs about the state of the US economy. Walmart, Home Depot and Target are among those set to report results this week and are likely to indicate how trade uncertainty and inflation expectations have affected US consumers. Intel shares fell on a report from Bloomberg that the Trump administration is in talks to take a 10% stake in the chipmaker. Dayforce shares surged on a report that the private equity firm Thoma Bravo is in talks to acquire the human resources management software firm. Solar stocks, including SolarOne and First Solar, rallied after the US Treasury Department unveiled new tax subsidy rules for solar and wind projects, which were less restrictive than investors had feared. And shares of Novo Nordisk rose after the FDA granted its weight loss drug Wegovy an accelerated approval treatment for a liver condition. Well, President Trump has told Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky that the United States would help guarantee Ukraine's security in any deal to end Russia's war, although the extent of any promised assistance was not immediately clear. European leaders who accompanied the Ukrainian leader at a meeting at the White House urged President Trump to insist that Russia agree to a ceasefire before any talks can advance. Well, the prospect of US stagflation and the potential damage that tariffs could wreak on growth and inflation is causing some investors to readjust their portfolios. That's the majority view of a Bank of America survey of global investors, with 70% saying they expect stagflation, the combination of below-trend growth and above-trend inflation, in the next 12 months. US Treasury yields ticked up slightly, with the 2-year rising to 3.77%, the 10-year at 4.35%, markets pricing in a 75% chance the Fed funds rate will be cut by 25 basis points at the next meeting in mid-September, with around 5 more cuts in total in this easing cycle. The US dollar index is up around 1/3% on the day. The Aussie has fallen back below 65 US cents, and Bitcoin is lower, trading at around 117,000 US dollars. Oil prices settled higher amid negotiations over a possible ceasefire in Ukraine. Brent crude futures at $66 a barrel. Copper fell almost 0.5%, iron ore down a similar margin to $100 US a tonne, and the gold price is steady with spot gold at $3,330 an ounce. Today, the federal government's economic reform roundtable begins with the Prime Minister, Treasurer and Reserve Bank Governor due to speak. And Westpac's consumer confidence data for August will also be released. On the earnings calendar, among those companies reporting results are BHP, CSL, Centuria Capital, Challenger, HMC Capital, Hub24, Monadelphous, Reliance Worldwide, Seek Sims and Woodside. And that is your day ahead. See you again tomorrow.